You ever have that feeling that you're just running on a clock that doesn't quite match the world around you? Well, what if that's not just a feeling? Today, we're going to dive into this really fascinating idea that our whole modern sense of time is kind of disconnected from this powerful, unseen physical reality that's actually pulling all the strings. This quote just nails something called the Schuster paradox. I mean, think about it. We can talk about black holes, string theory, these absolutely huge abstract scientific ideas. But the second you talk about changing something really fundamental to our daily lives, like the calendar, our brains just kind of hit a wall. Why is it so hard to imagine a different Tuesday? All right, let's make this personal. Think about that end of the year rush, that holiday stress. We all know it, right? We blame it on buying gifts, on travel, on family pressure, but we feel it every single year, like clockwork. What if it's more than that? What if our bodies are actually responding to something way bigger? And that right there is the core question for our explainer today. What if that annual anxiety, that feeling of vibrating while standing still, isn't just in our heads? What if it's a real, physical thing, tied directly to our planet's wild ride through space? So to even start to unpack this theory, we first have to look at the proven science. And it turns out every single one of us has this incredibly sophisticated, ancient timing machine built right into our cells. The field that studies this is called chronobiology. And look, this isn't some fringe idea. For literally billions of years, life on Earth has evolved these internal clocks to get a jump start on the day, to anticipate the sunrise, the temperature changes, the whole rhythm of the planet. Now, the most famous of these rhythms is our circadian rhythm. That's our internal 24-hour cycle. The whole system is run by this tiny little command center in our brain, a master pacemaker called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. You can think of it as the conductor for your body's entire orchestra. So just how powerful is this inner clock? Well, the science is honestly pretty wild. Back in the 70s, a guy lived in a cave for 6 months. No clocks, no sunlight. And his body clock naturally drifted to about a 25-hour day. But get this, scientists have actually transplanted the SCN from a hamster with a fast 20-hour cycle into a normal hamster, and the recipient started living on a 20-hour day. So the key takeaway here is our internal clocks are hardwired and super powerful, but they're not perfect. They need a little help to stay on time. And that help comes from something called a Zeitgeber. It's a German word, and it literally means time giver. It's basically any external cue from the environment, sunlight is the big one, that grabs our internal clock and yanks it back into sync with the 24-hour day. It's how our body knows what time it really is. Okay, so our bodies are constantly listening for these Zeitgebers, these time givers, like light when we eat, our social routines. But what if there's a ghost in the calendar? A massive planetary time giver that we are all as a species just completely ignoring. This really brings us to the heart of it. Is there some huge physical signal that's so fundamental, so basic, that we've completely failed to build it into our culture and our calendars? The answer is perihelion. So around January 3rd every single year, our entire planet reaches its closest point to the sun. And at this moment, gravity is pulling us the hardest and we are moving at our absolute fastest, a mind-blowing 30.2 kilometers per second. It is the single moment of maximum orbital change for every living thing on Earth, and we barely even notice it. So this sets up two totally competing realities. On one hand, you've got the Gregorian grid, our calendar. It's a static, artificial box, kind of like an operating system of stasis. But then, on the other hand, there's the solar reality, this dynamic orbit where our planet literally accelerates into a slingshot around the sun. We're living by the grid, but our bodies are experiencing the slingshot. So what happens when the cultural map we use to navigate time doesn't match the physical territory our bodies are actually in? Well, you get this great unsyncing. It's like a collective jet lag that we can't ever quite put our finger on. And the scale of this unsyncing, this slow drift between our map and the territory, is surprisingly precise. It's about 1 day. Because of a little wobble in the Earth's axis, the actual physical moment of perihelion drifts against our static calendar by 1 full day every 65 years. Now that's way too slow for any one person to notice in their lifetime, but over generations, it creates this huge sync gap. It means our cultural anchor points, our holidays, our traditions, are slowly becoming unmoored from the physical events they might have once been tied to. And what's so fascinating is how our culture seems to have intuitively processed this feeling. I mean, think about it. George Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life hits his absolute breaking point right at the peak of this acceleration. That feeling of it's all too much, that's the feeling of maximum velocity hitting a static life. Or the ghosts of A Christmas Carol. Maybe they're the ghosts of this widening misalignment in time. And the miracle of Hanukkah's oil, this inner light that endures in the darkness, maybe that's an echo of our own biological energy increasing as we physically get closer to the sun. So this all kind of begs the question, right? If our current system is creating all this friction, this sync gap, could we recalibrate? Can we design a way of marking time that actually aligns with our physical reality and just feels right to our bodies? You can think of the problem as a kind of imbalance. On one side, you have the solar grid, our 12-month calendar. It's rigid, it's consistent, it's predictable. On the other side, you have these natural lunar cycles, the more intuitive biological rhythms you see in the tides and in life, which our current system pretty much ignores. So here's a thought experiment, just a way to explore what a synthesis could look like. First, what if we all acknowledged World Perihelion Day, around January 3rd, as the true physical anchor for the year, a global starting line? Second, what if we organized our time around a calendar with 13 months, each one exactly 28 days long, to sync up better with those natural lunar cycles? The whole goal would be to create a system that syncs our social rhythm with our planetary rhythm. Now, the point isn't to just, throw out the Gregorian calendar tomorrow. That would be total chaos. The idea is to add a new lens, a new way of seeing and feeling time. You could think of it like a defibrillation, a quick shock to the system designed to reset our collective rhythm and get us back in sync with the actual planet we're living on. Which leaves us with this one last thought. Our calendar isn't just a tool for tracking days. It's the operating system for our lives. It shapes how we work, how we feel, how we see reality itself. So if we built a new system, one that was in harmony with the deep physical currents of our planet, what kind of new reality could we unlock? Thanks for exploring this with us.